Hello, welcome. This is Sports Tonight. We're reaching you. I'm Austin Okonakwa, reaching you right here in London. My colleague Yemi Adebayo will be joining us later on the show to continue wherever we're going to stop. Good to have you join us once again. Still an action-packed world of sports on the show tonight. What's going on with Aruna Quadri? He cannot just stop breaking records. He made new record earlier today in Singapore at the WTT Championship. He has qualified for the quarterfinals. I'll give you more details on the show tonight. Also, we'll take a look at UFC 286. It's the trilogy. It's Leon Edwards taking on Nigerian nightmare Kamaru Usman. You know the story of how Edwards shocked the world when he produced that Hail Mary kick sometime in August last year to dethrone Kamaru Usman. So we're getting ready. It's going to happen on Saturday right here in London at the O2 Arena. We'll tell you more about that trilogy. It's all about the UFC 286. Also on the show tonight, we'll talk about the Super Eagles getting ready for the 2023 AFCON qualifying match against Guinea-Bissau. Coach Jose Pizarro has invited players that will execute that one. We'll talk about players that made the list and those who are missing on the show tonight. So much to talk about, action-packed world of sports. I told you that Nigeria's Aruna Quadri has qualified for the quarterfinals of the WTT Championship. Talking about table tennis right there in Singapore. How did he do it? He defeated the first-seed player, Tomakazu Arimoto. Before this match, Aruna Quadri had lost about 3 or 4 times to the Japanese player, and so he said, today I will put behind that ugly record, and he went on to win by 3-0. Aruna Quadri was on fire, and with this victory today, he became the first African to make it to the quarterfinals at the WTT Championships. Don't forget, Aruna Quadri ranked number 14 in the world, the top-ranked African player. Is doing everything possible to put Africa on the right map. That's him right there after defeating Arimoto, the Japanese player, ranked higher than Aruna Quadri, who has always been beating Aruna Quadri. But in the round of 16, the Nigerians say, hey, wait a minute, it's not going to happen again. And with his ferocious backhands and forehands, Aruna Quadri ensured that it continues to power on right there at the championship in Singapore. We were waiting to know who his opponent will be in the quarterfinals. It has been confirmed. It will be Brazil's Hugo Calderano. Familiar foe to Aruna Quadri. I think Aruna Quadri lost the last encounter against Hugo, but what he has done against his Japanese opponent in the round of 16, this Nigerian, will indeed be powered on to see if he can make it to the semi-finals. Congratulations once again, Aruna Quadri, doing everything possible to put Africa and indeed Nigeria on the international map when talking about table tennis. Let's leave table tennis now and come back right here in the United Kingdom, where we're counting down to UFC 286. It's as big as it can get. It's the trilogy. It's the 3rd time that Leon Edwards will be meeting Kamaru Usman. And what a story that one will be, because this fight has got everything tied to it. Whoever wins the trilogy is the confirmed winner between these two fighters. Now, the first fight took place in 2015, and it was the Nigerian. In fact, it was a one-sided fight. Kamaru Usman brushed Edwards, kept him aside. But in the second fight that took place last year, August, the unexpected happened. Unbelievable. It's still a stunner because no one can explain how Leon Edwards produced that Hail Mary kick that landed on Usman's neck, and then the Nigerian passed out. So we are waiting for that fight. But I'm just getting ahead of myself quickly. Let's go back to table tennis, get reactions from that Aruna Quadri's win at the WTT Championships in Singapore. And I'll come back. I'll take more reactions from UFC 286. Don't go anywhere, be right back.
Just unbelievable. Like I said 2 days ago, I said it would be better to play against Jean from France because I won before like 2 times. And Arimoto scoreline head-to-head was like 4-0 So today I was just out there to give my best. I was like, it doesn't matter the results, just show what you are capable of doing, and I'm very happy things was working for me. I actually spoke with some coaches here, and they gave some great advice how to play, and I was like, okay, let me try. I've been trying some stuff before against him, it was not working, but today some of the advice from the coaches, it's really worked very well. But of course, I have to keep that to myself for the next meeting. 5-0, I served always short to his forehand. Then I was trying to change something, like something like a long in backhand, just to make him a little bit uncomfortable. But unfortunately, it was an error in the serve, and it came to 5-5. I was not giving up, and I put myself together, and I kept fighting and fighting. I'm very happy here. Singapore always brings positive memory to me. Don't forget, 2 years ago, I was in quarterfinal here when I beat Len Jinkun from China. And this actually was a very good one for me. Again, for Africa, it's another quarterfinal. For Nigeria, it's another quarterfinal. And I really hope I can make it count this time around.
Nigeria's Aruna Quadri reacting after beating Arimoto at the Singapore Smash. And I love how composed he was in that one, because for a player that has lost 4 times to the Japanese player, meeting him again, Aruna Quadri needed to, so come on, you didn't pay my flight ticket to Singapore. You keep beating me all the time. Showed some composure, showed some maturity, put himself together, and went on to win by 3-0. Now in table tennis, if you beat someone 3-0, that's flawless victory. And that was what Aruna Quadri did to the 4th-seeded player at the competition. So congratulations once again to Aruna Quadri. We wish him all the best as he takes on Hugo Calderano from Brazil in the quarterfinals. Best wishes, Aruna Quadri. I was talking about UFC 286. It's the trilogy between Nigeria's Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards. The Nigerian Nightmare lost his UFC welterweight title to Edwards in August last year. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape for that one that has been dubbed the fight of all fights between these two guys in the welterweight category. Edwards, 31. Kamaru Usman is 35 years old. 4.0 in height. A bit taller than Kamaru Usman, but these days in fights, those things don't matter. Kamaru Usman with a better reach, 76.0 compared to Edwards, 74.0. The stance, Kamaru Usman is known for his quality. He can switch, while Edwards is a southpaw. But you see, with his style also is unpredictable, and that was what he did in the second fight. Now, with this trilogy, I'm sure Kamaru Usman has gone to take a look again to see what he needs to do right to ensure that no surprises again. Let me just give you some details as regards that fight. It's going to start at 9 p.m. United Kingdom time. That should be about 10 p.m. in Nigeria. The venue is the London O2 Arena. Leon Edwards will be defending his welterweight title. Remember, I told you he shocked the world last year in August when he dethroned Kamaru Usman at UFC 278. The first encounter between these two fighters took place in 2015 in Florida, and Usman won that one by unanimous decision. In fact, it was a one-sided fight. The Nigerian did everything he needed to do to, win that one, and he won. Now, in the second fight, followers of mixed martial arts said, no, this is no fight. And in fact, the fight was going Kamaru Usman's way until that Hail Mary kick landed on his neck. And that's the fight for you. Just one good punch or a kick, and it's good night. And that was what Leon Edwards produced to emerge the welterweight world champion. So can Kamaru Usman retain his title? That's the big question. And I want you guys to get into the conversation. Yes, Kamaru Usman dominated the welterweight division, defended his belt successfully for a couple of times until Leon Edwards did what he did last year, August. So do you think Kamaru Usman can retain his title, or will Leon Edwards produce another shocker We cannot wait for UFC 286 right here in London. We will continue to monitor that one. To be done on Saturday time again, 9 p.m. UK time, 10 p.m. right there in Nigeria. So UFC fans, keep a date. Let's do that one. And for those of you who love Kamaru Usman, come out and give him all the support that he needs. Let's get on with the conversation now. Get into football. Today, we are at the 73rd FIFA Congress in Kigali, Rwanda. A lot of things went down, but a major talking point was the re-election of Gianni Infantino as FIFA's president. Unopposed, Gianni Infantino, we know him and everything he has been trying to do for football, particularly the changes that he has been bringing to the game. Let me bring in Segun Jegede, is right here with me in London. Segun, good to have you with me on Sports Tonight.
Thank you, Austin. Thanks for having me on the show.
Awesome. Let's talk about this 73rd FIFA Congress that took place in Kigali. Gianni Infantino re-elected as FIFA president unopposed. Do you have any reservations as regards the re-election of Infantino?
I think that's part of politics in football. He's done his own work. He's done his job well. He's facilitated a lot of meetings and relationship with African leaders, the stakeholders. You were in the World Cup as well, and I think you have a very. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go on.
Okay, you have a very insightful, sort of to picture how events unfolded in Qatar. So I think he must have done his own job very well. He's facilitated a lot of meetings. He's had a lot of relationship with African leaders. And if you look at it right there, they went to Kigali to the FIFA Congress. That's a statement right there. And he's trying to make African football better. So I reckon everybody's happy. That's why he stood unopposed.
Let's talk about some of the things that we know with Gianni Infantino, particularly the implementation, for instance, the video assistance referee. Let's talk about a Winter World Cup in Qatar, and particularly Africa. It seems to be getting closer. Has his reign been favorable to African football?
Well, some people say no, but I think generally speaking, it's been favorable to them. We have more. How many Africans nations who sort of participate in the next World Cup now has been increased. There's more allocation of funding to African countries. Where I think there's a bit of where things are lacking is the implementation of the money that's been given to African nations, how they implement it, and how it goes to the grassroots. Because I know you're a grassroots person. I think there needs to be more transparency and there needs to be more hands on deck in terms of making sure this money goes to the allocated facets that they're meant for. That's
Rwanda
a key thing for me.
That they can actually use football to develop that country. The president, Paul Kagame, has been open to different football, not just football, investment. He's been speaking right after that FIFA Congress in Kigali. Let's listen to Paul Kagame on the show tonight.
Qatar was proud to host the World Cup, and Rwanda is honored to host this FIFA Congress. We need to keep bad politics out of sports. As we saw last year in the constant hypocritical criticism at the World Cup last year. Instead of asking why is it being held there, first ask why not. Unless we are talking about a kind of entitlement that only some of us on this globe deserve to enjoy. It's about keeping some people in their place, but that kind of attitude should have been left far behind in history by now. That is not to say that athletes do not have a right to object to what personally affects them and their communities. They certainly do.
President of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, speaking at the 73rd FIFA Congress in Kigali. Shego, he spoke well of FIFA and even condemned some of the criticisms that have been passed to FIFA. He said he described it as hypocritical. I'm sure you say it's all politics again.
Well, that's he's not mentioning his words. He's actually been direct. He's been intentional. And for me personally, I was at the World Cup. I was there for a month. So I saw things firsthand. And I felt, to be honest with you, some part of the media were a bit heavy-handed with the criticism of Qatar. Bearing in mind that every country has their own setbacks and their own rules and their own regulations. So I think if you want to criticize people and you want them to listen to what you have to say, you have to take a more diplomatic approach in terms of how you relate to their circumstances. So he means what he said, and he said what he meant. So I think people have to look at things in perspective in terms of how the World Cup was held. If we say football is a global phenomenon and football it brings equality, we shouldn't necessarily criticize where it is being held. We might criticize some of how they do their things, but I think the point, there comes a point in time where we have to unify ourselves together as a football family, as a sporting family, and look at things and say, you know what, kudos to whatever has been held and support them. So FIFA done well, but giving it to Qatar, that's my own opinion. You know, other areas they can develop in and they can continue to grow. And if you look at it now in that part of the world in Asia, look at Saudi Arabia, they're making a case for themselves as well. They're signing high-profile players, they're bringing football stars, they're working with UEFA. So it's only a matter of time. Football doesn't belong to a particular sector of the world. It belongs to everybody. That's my thoughts.
So let's listen to Gianni Infantino after receiving the mandate to begin a second term at the 73rd FIFA Congress in Kigali.
So when it comes to competitions, well, the first point is that we will, of course, deliver the greatest FIFA Women's World Cup ever in 2023. And we will be boosting women's football tremendously. Not only because we move from 24 to 32 teams, but for many other reasons, and also on this I will come back a bit later. Besides that, and this is again for all of you and for the fans, we will, of course, organize the greatest FIFA Men's World Cup ever in 2026. Also because we move from 32 to 48 teams and from 64 to 104 matches, but because this will be the most inclusive World Cup ever. And we want to be, and we have to be, inclusive. And of course you, the Congress, will have the right and the duty to decide on the hosts of future men's and women's World Cup in the coming year. So it's a big responsibility for FIFA, for you, for the world. We are promising you new record revenues for the next 4-year cycle of $11 billion. So from 6.4, which became 7.5 in the last cycle, we go to $11 billion. And actually the new Club World Cup is even not included in that. So I think this figure will increase still by at least a couple of billions. We will see. I count on our teams to make that happen. They know that they can count on me as well to make it happen, because it is finally for all of you.
Welcome back, Sports Tonight on Channels Television. Just before we went on that break, you listened to FIFA President Gianni Infantino after receiving his mandate to begin a second term as FIFA President. It all happened at the second FIFA Congress in Kigali, Rwanda. And at that Congress, Gianni Infantino announced, and this is good news for women's football, he announced that there will be an increase in the prize money for the World Cup that will take place in Australia and New Zealand. It said that it will receive an extensive increase in prize money to over 150 million US dollars. Now take a listen. It's more than 3 times the value from the last tournament in 2019 and 10 times more than it was in 2015. Shego, have you been pleased with what FIFA has been doing for the development of women's football?
Well, they have no choice. They have to sort of help women football. They have to promote it more. They have to push the agenda out there for women to have more significance in terms of football and revenue. So I'm really happy that this development is coming to fruition right now. But more needs to be done as well to further increase it. In terms of, because when you compare it side by side to the men's football, it's still very, very low. But it's a good development that they've done this. They've gone to such a limit to increase the revenue for women's football. It's a good avenue.
I totally agree, because sometimes that's what we talk about. We know that achieving quality will be difficult, but with FIFA throwing in more money and investment into women's football, and then we know that that's deliberate planning. Let's get on with the show now and take the conversation back in Nigeria. We're counting down to the 2023 AFCON qualifiers between Nigeria and Guinea-Bissau. Coach Pizarro has invited players to execute that for him. Let's take a quick look at some of the players invited for that 2023 AFCON qualifiers against Guinea-Bissau. And Shagun, before the list comes up, okay, I'll just run through it. That's it right there. Goalkeepers, Francis Uzdoro plays for AC Omonia in Cyprus, is a regular in the Super Eagles team. Victor Sochima, when this list was released, people were wondering, who is Victor Sochima? He's the goalkeeper for Rivers United and a fantastic one at that, having a decent season with the pride of Rivers. And this is a good one for the MPFL. Kingsley Anagboso, he plays for Giant Brillas. Who is Kingsley Anagboso? He's shown like a million stars at the just concluded under-20 AFCON that took place in Egypt. The Flying Eagles finished with a bronze medal at that one. So this is good encouragement for the young goalkeeper. Let's see if he's going to take his chance. The defenders, we know this one so well. Semi Ajayi plays for West Brom in England. Bright Osai Samuel. It will be good to see what Bright can bring again to this team. He was decent in his first encounter. He plays for Fenerbahce in Turkey. Kevin Akpoguma, Germany. Another decent player, in my opinion. Let's see what he can do this time. Kenneth Omeru, arguably the most experienced player in the Super Eagles, plays his football for CD Leganes in Spain. Still with the defenders, Calvin Bassey. Yes, some of the fans' favorites with his recent performances and consistency with the team. Daniel Bamei plays for Yum Yum FC, and I'm hoping that he's going to give us some yummy performances with the Super Eagles. He's the captain of the Flying Eagles that just concluded under-20 AFCON. So this is another good one by Jose Pizarro trying to support and encourage these young stars. Zaidu Sanusi is a regular in the Super Eagles team, plays for FC Porto in Portugal. Bruno Onyemachi plays for Boavista in Portugal. Also one that fans of the Super Eagles will be hoping to see what he can bring to the team. Let's go to the midfielders now. Some familiar names. Wilfred Ndidi plays for Leicester City right here in England. Frank Oyeka plays for Brentford FC in England also. Alex Iwobi plays for Everton right here in the United Kingdom, while Joe Aribo plays for Southampton in England. Those are the midfielders invited for that encounter against Guinea-Bissau. For the forwards, Kelechi Iheanacho plays for Leicester City in England. Ahmed Musa, the captain of the side, plays for Sivasspor in Turkey. Samuel Chukwueze, another one of the fans' favorites, plays for Villarreal in Spain, and Moses Simon, who plays for FC Nantes in France. More of the forwards, Ademola Lookman, man on fire, plays for Atalanta in Italy. Terry Murphy, another fantastic player who is also in good form. I just moved to OG Nice and already having a good time with them right there in France. Whew! Give me adjectives to qualify Victor Osimhen, arguably the most informed striker in the world. Yes, that's what a lot of football fans believe. He single-handedly powered Napoli into the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League for the first time in their history. And there's also Paul Onuachu, who plays for Southampton in England. So there you have it. Invited Super Eagles players for the 2023 AFCON qualifiers against Guinea-Bissau to take place in Abuja. Segun Jegede is a football analyst, is right here in England with me. Segun, let's run through that list. Any surprises for you?
Well, you wouldn't say there are surprises because it's a job of the Super Eagles to give some new faces some opportunities. You've had a couple of the, new faces. I think 2 from the under-20, the Flying Eagles, from the recently concluded tournament they've been to, and the young man from Rivers United, the goalkeeper. So they deserve it. You have to promote Nigerian League because you get your best from your league. So I mean, the players, the class of '94, every one of them came from the league. So it's high time we start doing these kind of things again to empower the youth system in Africa and in Nigeria in this case. So it's a welcoming development. It's a very, very good one. And I think there are different areas where there needs to be some sort of development in terms of the defenses. But they're doing very well. They're bringing up the youth. They're trying. So we can only hope for the best, and kudos to the technical team and the Super Eagles and the coach.
I like it. Let's just let's set the record straight, because I've been getting messages. Why is Ola Aina not in the team? Ola Aina is missing because he has 2 yellow cards. Remember the first game against Sierra Leone, he got a yellow card, and then the second game, I think against Sao Tome and Principe in Morocco, Olaino also received a yellow card, so he's suspended, and that's why you don't have him in that list. Let's run through the midfielders. I'm worried about 4 or 5 midfielders. What if something goes wrong?
Well, you have a couple of the boys that can tuck into midfield, depending on the formation the coach wants to play. Someone like Semi Ajayi, he can play midfield as well. And he's a footballer. And this day and age, you have to be able to play multiple positions. So I feel it's not going to be all doom and gloom. But if anything goes wrong, you have a couple of footballers that can tuck in. One of the players that would have been able to do that is Olaino, but unfortunately, on being invited this time due to his yellow cards, as you've mentioned. But there are players that can tuck into the middle of the park and do a good job. So I wouldn't worry about that. In as much as the team plays as a unit and they're strong together, it will be fine. But you can't write off any team right now in world football, African football. So they have to put all hands on deck to make sure things go according to plan. And if it doesn't go according to plan, how can they switch? What sort of formation do they have? How can they switch tactics? Because I feel in the past we've been a bit in terms of the technical ability that our players have in terms of when they play enough. Maybe it's the weather, or because they don't play together as often as they should be. There's always one thing or the other missing. But with the advent of technology in terms of how they study a position, the analysis, they should be fine.
That's right. I totally agree. But let's not be quick to say, isn't it Guinea-Bissau? African football is changing. And if you take a look at the forward line of the Super Eagles, you could tell that Jose Pizarro isn't joking with that encounter.
He needs people that can deliver a good job for him, because attack is the best form of defense. If you want to get good results, your attack has to be really sharp. I mean, there's been even comments around that is tried to even invite other Super Eagles that that are very, very good in terms of attacking prowess. He's been wanting to bring them back to the fold just to make sure all hands are on deck. But You're only good as your last game, and the last couple of games they played under Pizarro, they haven't won. I don't think they've won any. So this is a good opportunity for him to actually deliver when it matters, because these games, they do matter for qualification.
It does. I totally agree with you. Nigeria and Guinea-Bissau will clash at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium in Abuja, 5 p.m. Nigerian time on Friday, the 24th of March. So keep that date down. Friday, the 24th of March, 5 p.m. kickoff time, Nigerian time. And then they will make a second date at the Estadio 24 de Septiembre in Bissau on Monday, the 27th of March, also starting from 5 p.m. So keep that down. The 24th and the 27th, the Super Eagles of Nigeria will be busy. The mission is to, stamp the authority for qualification for the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations. So all the best to the Super Eagles as they look forward to that encounter against Guinea-Bissau on the 24th of this month. Let's bring the conversation back to Europe now. Talk about what went down today in the Europa League. Manchester United have qualified for the quarterfinals after beating Real Betis by a single goal in Spain. Man on fire, Marcus Rashford. I was Andy once again. So that one ended 5-1 on aggregates. This is the 20th time Manchester United will be booking their place in the quarterfinals in the European competition. Fenerbahce defeated Sevilla by a goal to nothing. Now look at that scoreline. We see this sort of scoreline when you play rugby. But Feyenoord did just enough to destroy Shakhtar Donetsk by 7 goals to 1. Juve should cement their position and just cement their place in the quarterfinals after a 2-0 win over Freiburg. I told you it ended Manchester United 1, Real Betis 0. The game between Arsenal and Sporting Lisbon is live, and the Gunners, their one goal of the first leg ended 2-2 in Portugal. Let's begin with the Gunners, Shegun. This is one team you follow a lot. Show character, older, place in the quarterfinal.
In fact, I'm actually supposed to be at the stadium tonight because of your show. I've missed that encounter, but it's all good. Arsenal are on fire right now. I saw them play against the last match against Fulham. It was a tactical, the evidence of the tactical nuance showed on that day. We're hoping they can go out and do the same today because they need that momentum going. If they sort of stop at some point, it might affect their performance in the title chase, in the title race. So hopefully they can do the job. But from all evidences that we've seen from the past and how they're playing presently in this season, the qualification for the next round is there for them to sort of falter on. But I see them going through with all hands on deck. They're playing with confidence, psychologically, mentally, in terms of their performances. Everything is working out well for them. But we know how football can be ruthless. Any simple error, mistake, anything goes wrong, everything can crumble. So hopefully they can keep that momentum going. But right now, they're still favorites to go to forge ahead to the next round.
That's it. Arsenal 1, Sporting Lisbon 0. It was Granit Xhaka in the 19th minute that gave the Gunners the lead at the Emirates Stadium. So Arsenal fans will be hoping to see if the Gunners can actually go all the way. Let's talk about another English team that made it look so easy. Manchester United against Real Betis. They did the job in the first leg, won 4 goals to 1 at Old Trafford. And today, Marcus Rashford just said, look, let's put an icing on the cake. What you're seeing of United, they already have 1 trophy in their cabinet. You think Eric Ten Hag will fancy this team going all the way to win the Europa League?
The coach has a lot of people to prove wrong. In the initial stages of when he came on, it seemed as if it was going to be a daunting task for him to forge ahead, to make this team unified, to play very, very attractive football. Right now, they're doing that, although they faltered against Liverpool and considered 7 goals. Manchester United fans will want to believe and assume that was a blip. Aside from that, they have every other thing going for them. Likes of Marcus Rashford, blazing hot fire right now. The team, they're ready to go. They're pushing through. They're trying everything. They have to show that they still have what it takes to attract world-class footballers. They want to go to the next stage. They want to play Champions League next season. That is another team to look out for. So it's going to be interesting who goes all the way between them and Arsenal. That is between Manchester United and Arsenal. So we will see how things pan out. But both teams are doing very, very well in terms of the Europa League, and they should qualify for the next round.
Okay, we'll continue to monitor to see. Maybe we might just be having Arsenal, Manchester United in the final of the Europa League. But it's also been a good year for Italian teams, both in the Europa League and the UEFA Champions League. So let's run through the UEFA Champions League. We already have our quarter-finalists in the UEFA Champions League. And what a story. Nigeria's Victor Osimhen, that's the name on everyone's lips now. In fact, in England, he's being compared with Erling Haaland. And it's a possibility we might see Manchester City, Napoli, in the quarterfinal. Yesterday, Victor Osimhen said, look, no problem. We're doing just fine at the moment, and we can take on any team. Let's just run through the list of the quarterfinalists, teams that have qualified for the quarterfinal of the UEFA Champions League. And by the way, for the first time since the 2005 and 2006 season, this is the first time we'll be having 3 Italian teams in the quarterfinals. So these guys are not joking. AC Milan, Inter Milan, and Napoli all made it to the quarterfinals, you know, boosting the hopes of the Italians as regards the UEFA Champions League. Shegun, AC Milan, Inter Milan, Napoli. I'm sure, I don't need to ask you, I'm sure you're rooting for Napoli to go all the way. But the Italian teams, I'm sure you agree that they're holding their own in the UEFA Champions League.
The Italian team, they've gone back to the drawing board. They've looked at where they've faltered in the past. They've looked at the football industry. They looked at what they need to push in terms of player position. And they're doing a very, very good job. Then what they've done now is they're more, I mean, with the science and advancement of football, everybody now understands that you need to be attack-minded. It's not just about being defensive. Your tactical nuance has to be spot on. You have to play at optimal level. And you have to do really, really well. But the team that I'm very interested in is Napoli, Victor Osimhen. Victor Osimhen is an example of a player that has what you call resilience and mental strength in football. If you look at his story from when he left the shores of Nigeria, went to Germany, things didn't work out. He went on several loans, things didn't work out. When he got it right was when he started looking at things differently. He started being resilient. But what people don't understand, sometimes in football, it's not just about how tactical you are or how technical you are, or how good you are. The environment matters, what you eat, the weather, the people around you. When you have a good support network and a team, everything turns to gold. Everything you touch just turns to gold. So these are all the variables that are in football that people don't look at, that fans don't look at, and perhaps people that work in football don't even understand.
Yeah. So you're saying that there are things you need to do off the pitch that will impact on the pitch. Shegun, unfortunately, this is where the curtain falls on the show. I must say thank you so much for your time tonight. And should I say I'm sorry for not letting you be at the Emirates Stadium, but it was fun doing this for you. Thank you so much. That's the show. Shegun speaking to us right here in London. That's the show. Also in London, I'm Austin Okonakpan. In everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.